Hello and welcome back to Busby Gaming. I'm Tony, and today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't be that excited about the GTA Trilogy Remake. For those of you that don't know, the 3D GTA universe is reportedly getting a remake slash remaster. I'm putting it that way because regardless of what the reports say, we don't exactly know what we're getting. The only thing that we do know is that something is coming. Take-Two has filed a bunch of DMC takedown notices for a whole host of PC mods that add 3D GTA maps into games that don't originally have them. There is one that is most notable, and that is GTA Underground, which adds not only just the 3D maps from Vice City and GTA 3's Liberty City, but it also adds in maps from Manhunt and Bully and a lot of other Rockstar titles as well. This mod has been up and available for download for well over a decade, and it's really strange how Rockstar has re-released the 3D era of GTA games, and these map mods were always allowed to stay up. Take-Two didn't really care about them then, so maybe, just maybe, there's something more than just a quality of life re-release. Rockstar hasn't made any official announcement or given any official information regarding these rumors, but the DMCAs are the smoke, and where there's smoke, there's fire. But if the Kotaku reports are correct, they have 3 sources that confirm it is indeed in the works at Rockstar Dundee, which is formerly Ruffian Games. It's one of, I want to say it's probably the newest studio that Rockstar has acquired. One source in particular claims that the game resembles a heavily modified version of the original games. And not for nothing, but that ain't really something to get me excited about going out and buying these new games. Just getting a re-release wouldn't justify a DMCA takedown. And the modding community has already gotten pretty mad at Take-Two and Rockstar in the past with the whole Open IV or Open 4 modding tool being taken down by Take-Two. The way I see it, we have 2 possible outcomes. The first outcome is probably the most boring one, and that is, like I said before, just a few quality of life fixes, maybe a full screen implementation, HUD correction, upscaled textures with, a retooled code and some remastered audio, possibly 4K resolution with 60 to 120 frames per second. But the one thing to note here in the Kotaku reports is that Rockstar Dundee has spent the last 2 years porting the entirety of these games into the Unreal Engine. One reason may be because in the original engine for GTA 3, an example, 60 frames per second worked fine, but if you tried to do, let's say, 120 frames, it effectively broke the game. There was movement bugs with the vehicles, they didn't steer correctly, they didn't reverse. Head spawning, which is like the pedestrians, they didn't spawn in correctly, the animations were all that stuff was like just heavily affected. It didn't crash the game, but it effectively broke the code. It just made the games really wacky to play. So that may be one of the reasons why these games are being ported over to the Unreal Engine, is simply to have a frame rate above 60 frames per second. One thing that kind of makes me question the source is that they said they've seen the game in action and know that the engine it's being made on is Unreal. It seems really out of character for Rockstar not to use their proprietary game engine, the Rage engine, to port these games instead. We've seen through these mods that these maps look good enough in the Rage engine that they can support it. I mean, we've seen it in action in multiple mod videos. I've seen both Liberty City and Vice City heavily in these mod videos. I've very rarely seen San Andreas, but I have seen quite a few videos of that. But it's kind of really weird to me, which kind of leads me to think that maybe that leaker, because it was just the one leaker that said they've seen gameplay and it reminded them of a heavily modified version. It just makes me question that one leaker, and I'm thinking that maybe they're like most leakers on the internet, and maybe they're just full of shit. It seems more likely to me that they would use their Rage engine. I mean, that's what their entire dev team is used to in the Rockstar offices. They know that engine, they made that engine, and it would be a lot more cost effective than outsourcing to a third-party game engine and not using their in-house engine that Rockstar made and perfected themselves. Which leads us to option 2, which is much more exciting, that they're going to basically remake GTA 3 in the Rage engine. And I say GTA 3 specifically because those of you that don't know, this year on October 22nd is GTA 3's 20th anniversary, and which ironically is a Friday, and Friday in America is New Game Release Day. And if Rockstar uses the Rage engine to remake GTA 3, we might be getting something along the lines of Mafia Definitive Edition that released last September. And what that is, if you don't know, is basically we'll be getting new models, new textures, new animations, new physics. However, the game would probably still have the same audio from GTA 3, like soundtrack, sound effects, things of that nature. So obviously that would be better of the two options moving forward. And another thing that kind of pushes this into being a full-on remake rather than a remaster is probably about roughly a year ago, the Australian rating board accidentally leaked that they had rated a game titled GTA 3. And typically this kind of thing doesn't, they don't re-rate old games. Once a game's rated, it stays rated. I mean, if there's no new content, there's no new game. It's just a re-release, so it'll get the same rating. So that was kind of like the first murmuring of this game coming out. And that was, like I said, probably roughly a year ago. Could have been a year and a half or so is when that initial report came out. And that was the first kind of like whisper that we were going to get something big coming. In the way of a remake or reimagining. And that's the other thing too, is that Rockstar themselves have said that they do the best possible job they can do. They don't do simple ports. They do everything to the best of their ability. And I feel porting this over to a third-party engine and just doing some quality of life fixes for what they call, in their own words, a genre-defying game or defining game, kind of just it doesn't feel right to me. And in order for them to recoup the money that they're spending making and developing these games, and I'm just gonna say game, simply because in my mind, I'm thinking that this is just one game. This is just GTA 3 20th anniversary in the style of Mafia Definitive Edition, because that game is around the same age as GTA 3, and they went through the trouble of completely remaking it in a new engine, making it look modern, and it was not only critically successful, but the fans, it was successful amongst them too. It made Take-Two money. So it's not unreal to assume, and no, there's no pun there, that they just turned around and said, hey, we did this with Mafia, it was a success, let's do the same thing with GTA 3. And those of you that don't know, Take-Two is the parent company of Rockstar Games, so a full-scale remake instead of a remaster would be a lot smarter, and they'd actually need to recoup some of the money they put out, and they put out a lot of money. They bought Ruffian Games, turned them into Rockstar Dundee. They've allocated resources. They've been paying their staff at that studio for the last 24 months, probably more than the last 24 months, to make this I'm saying these because it may be a trilogy, but it may just be GTA 3 as well. And if that's the case, they do need to recoup that money, and they would need to sell the game at $40 to $60 to recoup that. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to spend $60 on 3 games that basically have a filter on them. If they just remaster the 3D Universe games, that to me is not worth buying it again. It's not worth playing through it again. I have them on PC. I can apply mods myself. Why would I pay $60 to play a modified version that you guys released on the Unreal Engine, which I really don't believe that they would use the Unreal Engine. I really think that Rockstar themselves would use their own game engine that they develop themselves. So I guess my question is to you guys, I mean, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer them to stay the course with the original 3D universe and keep that going, and just maybe upscale it a little bit, give it some new modified textures? Or would you want to see a full-on new release in the vein of the Mafia Definitive Edition? I know which one I would pick, and I know which one I'm willing to pay for. And I don't know, I really don't think that Rockstar is going to squander that away. Because I can tell you right now, if they do turn around and just release a remaster for the 20th anniversary of one of their most popular games, then people are going to be asking, well, you did this to Mafia, why couldn't you do this to this game? And I know for damn sure I'm going to be one of those people. And if they're wanting us to wait possibly a few more years before they give us a new Grand Theft Auto, I think they're really going to need to turn up the dial and give us some effort on the re-releases, because if they do indeed just do a re-release, it's not going to be worth the money. And I see it's going to sell. It's Grand Theft Auto, it's Rockstar, they're going to sell like hotcakes. But the best possible job to me is a remake, and a remaster is just kind of lazy. And I think a remake would actually sell a lot more, way more than a remaster would. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Take care, have a good weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.